Hello beautiful sassy ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're a sassy woman, S for smart, A for attractive, and S for successful, looking for a strong, successful, and high quality man, then you come to the right place. This channel is for women who want to continuously better themselves and become the best version of themselves so they can attract and keep a high quality man for life. So today I wanted to share with you the 10 signs of an insecure man and whether or not you should avoid this kind of guy. Now with these signs I'm about to share with you, most of these signs you're not going to see unless you're already in a committed relationship with this guy. So that is a bit of the problem. Now if you recognize some of these signs, definitely an issue if you recognize all of them, but I really want you to think about your situation and really analyze, is it a good decision to stay in a relationship with this person? This video is more for you to think about some things and to really consider the pros and cons of staying, and I highly recommend too, if you see a man with these signs, to try to help him by bringing them to his attention in a loving and caring way. Point them out to him because he may not be aware of them unless it is pointed out to him, and then see if he's the kind of person who is interested in self-development and personal growth, who will want to change and adapt and evolve into a better, higher quality man. And if he's not willing to do that, well, that's another piece of information for you to take on board so you can make a decision that is best for you. So let's get into it. Sign number one, this kind of guy will either be extremely critical or extremely unattentive. So we all know what critical looks like. If a guy is critical about what you do, what you wear, how you handle certain things, if he's critical about that, that's pretty obvious. We all can recognize the signs of a critical man. However, if he is unattentive, that can be a little bit harder to spot, especially if you're not used to watching out for those behaviors. So this is where you need to have an open eye to when you are telling him something, explaining something to him, or especially things that you're really passionate about and interested in. You want to see, is he paying attention? Is he thinking about the things you're talking about? Is he asking questions? Is he showing some kind of interest? Or is he generally pretty dismissive and unattentive? So if he is just kind of always going like, yep, cool, yes, I agree, yep, you're right, and you know, just kind of saying these very canned responses to what you're saying, but he's kind of like half distracted, really pay attention to that, especially if he does this continuously and it's a constant thing, because that means he's not really paying attention and he doesn't really care what you are saying, and that is much harder to spot that one. But being hypercritical and being unattentive is kind of on the same lines there, of a guy who is just not that interested in anything you have to say, or is disapproving of anything you have to say, and really just cares about himself. And extremely insecure people, what they really want is for you to just revolve around them. Okay, it's all about them and their insecurities. And if you are, which is kind of weird because we think, you know, insecure people, they feel like they are not good enough compared to someone else. They're constantly comparing themselves to other people, but really they are some of the most self-centered, selfish people out there, because their whole world revolves around them and their insecurities. They lack empathy towards other people because it's all about their issues, and they have a lot. So they're constantly in victim mode. So sign number two, he has a lack of patience for love. So this kind of guy isn't going to take on the natural projection of courting you. He's gonna want to be immediately in a relationship with you. So he is immediately boyfriend, girlfriend with you. He is moving in the second week. He's talking to you 8 hours a day. He wants to be basically married to you, at least emotionally, from the get-go. And the reason insecure people want to do that is because they know they are lacking some qualities in a real relationship, in a long-term committed relationship. They know they're not the easiest person to get along with. They know they're kind of difficult. They have a track record of being difficult or having terrible relationships. So they want to try to get you emotionally hooked as fast as possible. And so when you finally find out who they really are in a relationship, it's kind of too late by that point, because most insecure people don't want to be alone. Okay, they hate being alone. So as soon as they're in a relationship, they would rather stay in that relationship than break up and be alone again. So he kind of knows that. He judges it because that's how he is, right? Relationship, doesn't like being alone. So if he can hook you into a relationship, you're gonna stay a lot longer. You're gonna put up with his crap a lot longer and probably potentially not leave. And it gives him a chance now to fully manipulate you, okay? So it's very important you're aware that is one of the telltale signs. Sign number 3, he constantly doubts your love and your loyalty, despite evidence to the contrary. So if you are always reassuring him, or find yourself constantly reassuring him and saying how much you love him, how you're committed to him, how loyal you are to him, look all the things you're doing for him, you're cooking for him, cleaning, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're doing all the right things because you do love him, and yet he still doubts your love, and he is constantly doubting it. He constantly is bringing up how you could be thinking about other men and cheating on him, and because he was cheated on in the past, and just always doubting that. Yeah, he is really insecure. And not only that, it's gonna really drain you emotionally to try to keep up with him, to try to always be disproving all the things he is saying or accusing you of. Sign number 4, he is a massive negative Nancy. So this kind of person will be extremely negative, but it's gonna sneak up on you. So you're not gonna be instantly aware he is really negative, because in the beginning, everyone wants to put their best foot out there. So he's gonna be more positive, more encouraging, just naturally a more pleasant person to be around in the beginning, because he wants to impress you. He wants to hook you emotionally. So you're not going to see how negative he is until you get into a committed relationship. But that's where, you know, signs of this will come out. If he is constantly putting himself down, or he is constantly putting other people down, he is negative. Okay, and that's a really big sign. If you think he only puts himself down, so he's not doing me any harm, you know, you are being very naive, because a negative person, they're gonna start spraying their negative energy on everything around them, everything that's close to them. So you're going to also absorb that negative energy eventually. Okay, we are trained and we get taught how to believe and how to think and how to act by the people around us, the people that we surround ourselves with. So if he is constantly negative about himself, eventually he's going to start being negative about other people, and then negative about you, and then that's going to rub off on you. So if he's saying things like, I don't know if I can do that, I doubt this is going to work, that's not going to work, that's crap, that's bad, that person's a bitch, that person's a liar, you will probably start to think in a similar fashion as well, because you can't help but be to absorb that kind of negative energy and that kind of negative habits and behavior, and you will start to do the same. You will start to doubt your own abilities and question yourself and be hypercritical about yourself. So that's why negative people will influence and bring everybody down. Basically, that negativity just kind of really breeds when there's a lot of people around. Sign number 5, he is prone to jealousy. This kind of guy will be very easily jealous by you spending time with other people and other men. Okay, even when you try to reassure him you are not doing anything funny, you're not flirting with anybody, he's going to probably have a very active imagination and be conjuring up all these scenarios about how you are developing feelings for this other guy, and you eventually will run away and cheat on him because that's what's happened in the past. And you know, usually insecure people, they're really good at making you feel sorry for them because they are constantly feeling sorry for themselves. So they're always bringing out the violin for themselves, and therefore you are also getting suckered into their story and feeling bad for them. So because you feel bad for him, because you are a compassionate, loving person, you will understand why he's feeling bad, and you will start to slowly adjust your behavior and start to once again revolve your behavior around him, right? Because you want him to feel good, you care about him, you're in a relationship with him. That's how they start to manipulate you and start to alter your behavior in a negative way. Okay, sign number 6, he is constantly threatening to break up with you or constantly forcing you to prove you love him. So for example, I had a client whose partner was constantly threatening to break up with her and giving her ultimatums. So he was saying, hey, it's either me or the dog. It's always somehow the dog or the cat or some kind of animal gets thrown in there because people who are compassion loving tend to love animals. So he will bring that up. He will attack you. Basically, he will attack you where you are the weakest. So where you he knows is going to get you. So if he knows you really, really love him and you would never leave him, he will probably be more quick to throw out ultimatums and threaten to leave you because he knows that's going to attack your insecurities and then get you to comply to do what he wants you to do. Sign number 7, he will use emotional blackmail in order to get his way. So the worst kind of person you need to watch out for, or the worst kind of insecure man you should watch out for, is the super intelligent insecure man. Because this kind of guy, he is so intelligent, he's going to easily manipulate you by using your values against you. Okay, so if you follow my videos, I always talk about being a high value woman, and as a high value woman, your words are always aligned with your actions and you are congruent with your values and your beliefs, the things that you most care about, most are the most important to you. Okay, this guy will know those very well. The closer he is to you, he will know what your values are, what are the most important things to you. And unfortunately, because he's intelligent, he will also start to now use this to his advantage. So here's an example. If, say, you went out with your friends, he doesn't really like your friends, and you came home late. So you told him you were going to be home at 7, you came home at 9, and not only did you come home at 9, you also came home drunk at 9. And he is upset because, you know, he's emotionally upset. You left him alone. You didn't come home on time. You went out with friends he doesn't like. Plus you're drunk and acting like an idiot. So all the things he doesn't like. If he was a secure man would have just been annoyed, but he would have been able to deal with his emotions on his own, and he would have said, nope, I'm just a bit annoyed. I'll be over it. I'll be fine in the morning. Okay, that's what a secure man would say. An insecure man, however, will start to formulate this big case against you, but he'll do it not in an attacking way. He will do it in a loving, kind, concerning kind of way. So it makes you feel like, yeah, he's doing this because he loves me. This is because he's intelligent. He knows if he just attacked you, that would not work, you know. So he's going to take a different approach, a gentler approach. And his whole argument would be, okay, I thought you didn't like your friends that much. The other week you were complaining about your friends and saying that, you know, they're a bad influence on you. He will start to bring all this stuff up that you have said about your friends last week when you were complaining about them because you were, you know, having a bad day, for example. He'll bring up that evidence because that evidence supports his argument that your friends are bad for you. Okay, look what your friends made you do. They made you get drunk. They made you be late. They made you dishonor yourself. Okay, he'll probably say that and turn your friends against you and make your friends look like the biggest enemies and say, you know, your friends don't have your back. I have your back. If you want to be a high quality woman, if you're constantly talking about being the best version of yourself, then this is what you should do, because now you're kind of going against what you're saying. Okay. So see how very subtly there he was able to manipulate you by using your values against you, by bringing up evidence wherever he can find evidence to use to support his argument and his case. Super intelligent people can do this very, very well. They are great talkers. So if he's a lawyer or something like that, you know, just super intelligent, he will be able to do this no problem. Okay, you have to be really careful. Because yes, you do want to be congruent with your values, but then you have to, you know, get nuance into what is he doing. You may agree with him, but you have to see through his tactics, okay, and stand strong and be able to still defend yourself, I guess, or stand up for yourself in the face of what he is saying. Now, a lot of the time though, insecure people, insecure women are not able to do this, because what ends up happening is they end up feeling bad, because a super intelligent man will be able to twist the story around to make you feel bad. They will bring out every weakness that you have, every bad thing you've ever done in the relationship, bring it up to make you feel bad. And once you feel bad, he's got you. Because as soon as you feel bad about yourself and you admit it is your fault, that means you have to change your behavior next time to, hey, surprisingly, it's the same behavior he wants you to do. Okay, change your behavior next time, which means go out with your friends less. You know, spend more time with him. It could be anything, by the way. It could be stopping you going out with your friends. It could be stopping you going to the gym. It could be stopping you pursuing a career you want to, you know, pursue. Wherever you are not fully confident in and you have incongruence about, slight incongruence about, he's going to use that against you. Okay, so just be careful with super intelligent, insecure men, because they are very, very good at doing this. Sign number 8, he will blame you for not making them feel good. He will also blame you for making them feel terrible. So he will say, if you do this, it makes me feel really good. If you do Y, that makes me feel terrible. You don't want to deliberately make me feel terrible, do you? Stop doing it. Why do I have to keep repeating myself? Stop doing this thing that makes me feel terrible. So basically he is handing over to you responsibility for his emotional life. He is not taking any responsibility for it. It's all up to you to make him feel good or make him feel bad. That is basically what he's saying. And sign number 9, he always wants to one-up you. If you reach a certain level of achievement, or you achieve something that you're proud of, he can't just be happy for you. He needs to one-up you somehow. It always comes back to his achievements or his lack of achievements. So he's either always comparing himself to you or other people. And eventually, he will never say this directly, but you will start to link up that anytime you feel good about your achievements or come to him with something that you're proud about, he will start to talk about how bad he feels about himself. And because you don't want him to feel bad about himself, you eventually stop talking about your great achievements, maybe even stop achieving anything, because you don't want him to feel bad. So once again, subtly, very subtly, he starts to change you and your behaviors, and you just find yourself tiptoeing around him. You start to mold your behavior around him so he is always happy. You never make him unhappy. And that's how it begins, and then it just gets worse and worse and worse over time. And the last sign is that you constantly feel emotionally drained. So insecure guy, you will constantly find yourself needing to prove your love, needing to disprove or what he's accusing you of. always trying to make him feel better. You're always a cheerleader. You're always needing to change your behavior so he feels good. You're always needing to have arguments with him about what you did and what that means for him, and it's just very emotionally draining. So as you can see, all of these signs, an insecure guy, he isn't consciously going out there to try to hurt you. He is not aware that his behavior is necessarily hurting you, because once again, for an insecure man, everything is about him and his insecurities, about how bad he feels about himself, whether he realizes it or not. And because everything is about his feelings and how bad he feels, you naturally start to mold and change yourself to make him feel good, and basically you give yourself responsibility. You take on more and more responsibility over his emotions. So eventually you are the one responsible for his self-esteem or lack of self-esteem, or his good feelings and his bad feelings. You take on board all of that yourself. It's not him taking responsibility. Now you are accountable for his feelings at all times. And that's how you start to revolve around him. Okay, your behavior, you're constantly monitoring. Okay, is this behavior going to upset him? I don't want him to feel bad. I want him to feel good. What if I say this? And you start to revolve around him naturally. Okay, because this kind of guy, that's all he can see. It's not necessarily his fault, okay? It's not necessarily his fault. He just cannot see that he is very selfish and everything is about him and his insecurities. So that's basically just about the 10 signs. And if you're in this situation, I'm very empathetic to that, because it's difficult. Because once you already are attached to someone, you're in love with someone, or you've been with someone for a certain length of time, and you are already revolving around them, it's difficult to break out of that. So here's what I recommend. Okay, it always comes back down to you and what you want, and honoring your feelings and your desires. Because if you have taken on board his emotions and you're now responsible for his emotional life, then who is responsible for yours? Who is looking after you and your feelings? Is he doing it for you? Probably not, right? There's only one person who can be the carer and one person who's the child. And he has assumed the role of the child, and you have assumed the role of the carer, or the caregiver, basically. So you cannot now switch roles. The child doesn't never want to be the caregiver, okay? And the caregiver now will find it very difficult to be the child, because someone has to be the parent, someone has to be the caregiver. So what I recommend now is that if you really care about him and the relationship, really put it to him what is going on, okay? Tell him, okay, these behaviors of his are not only hurting him, but they're hurting you and the relationship. If he really cares about the relationship, he will adjust his behavior. He will put the work in to stop being insecure, at least start to realize that everything is about him. Everything is about him and his insecurities. And this is where you have to really stand in your power. Okay, when you go in for that conversation, you have to be firm and be like, I'm going in with myself and I'm coming out with myself, and I'm not going to allow him to manipulate me to feel bad for him. Because an insecure guy is really, really good at doing that. And he will turn it around so everything is once again about him. So you really have to go into that conversation ready to really stand by you and have your own back and your own feelings, okay? So that's my suggestion. And if he is not willing to grow and develop himself and become more emotionally mature and take back responsibility for his emotional life, then I think you need to do the next best thing for you. That could mean you may have to leave him. And by leaving him, that is the best thing for you and for him. That is my tip for this week's video. Next week, I will talk about the signs of an insecure man when you're dating, because I think that's probably going to be more important. because it's dating stage. It's a lot easier to stop seeing someone if you're just dating versus break up with someone if you're in a relationship already. So watch out for that. If you would like more information on how to be a high value woman and attract a high quality man, go to my free webinar presentation, 3 Secrets of High Value Irresistible Women, at katiecoach.com/webinar. That's all from me today. Like my video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back with more next week. Bye.